Hi, welcome back. It's Zoe Arthurs from Business Basics here. So I thought, following on with our marketing theme today, we would basically introduce the marketing mix. So at this point, it is only an introduction, and we're not going to go into too much detail. But today, I am going to throw a theorist at you. So you may want to do some further reading, just so that you can identify and understand this theorist a little bit better. So, in terms of your customers, the likelihood is they're going to have two things. They're going to have a need, which is something which is deep rooted in their individual personality, or they're going to have a want. Okay, so you need to identify as a business whether actually you're satisfying your customers' needs or whether you're satisfying their wants, and then you're going to have to amend your marketing strategy to suit that. Now, based on those needs or wants, there's obviously going to be a demand. So the demand is the willingness and ability of buyers to purchase a product that satisfies their needs or wants. So as well as identifying what it is that you're actually satisfying, whether it be a need or a want, you're also going to have to identify what the level of demand is. And this is where you're going to have to consider your research, your focus groups, and you're going to have to really test your market before you go on and launch your product or spend a huge amounts of money sort of promoting and doing your marketing strategy, because actually without identifying what this is, there's no way you're going to be able to meet your customer needs or demands. So the first theorist that I want to throw at you in these tutorials is basically Maslow. Now, he identified that there was a hierarchy of needs, and he basically said that in order to reach self-actualization, which is at the top of his hierarchy, you would have to satisfy each of the needs below. Now, you may be considering what this actually has to do with marketing at all, but actually for an individual to purchase your item, and that means actually handing over the cash. So quite often when we're selling things on the internet through e-commerce websites and such like, we'll go through shopping, we'll have a look at the item, we'll think, yes, we'll want it, we'll put it into our bag, and then we'll time out. So we'll go elsewhere. And that's where a huge amount of the conversion rate of your sales will be lost. So in order for someone to actually purchase something, their physiological needs will need to be met. And that's in terms of their warmth, their basic food and water needs are met. And then they're going to have to feel safe and secure when they're purchasing. So, and that doesn't just mean safe and secure on your website, although that will be linked. It'll also mean safe and secure with what they're doing in their environment. So you're going to need to pay additional attention to that as a business in order to build that trust so that they do actually feel that they can purchase an item, that it will be delivered to them safely, that their card details are handled suitably, and that the website is running correctly so that any details they're putting in are going to be secure. Then they're going to move on to the social, the love, the needs. This is where they're going to need to feel that you as a consumer, or them as a consumer, are understood. You know what really gripes with them. You know their pain points. You understand what their needs and wants are. And it's as if the marketing material that you're putting out there isn't attending to the mass market. It's actually tentatively talking to them as individuals. They're feeling valued, and they're feeling that actually this business is meant for them. So they are the ones that are purchasing. Now, as I've said in previous tutorials, this is all about your communication style. So when you're considering your marketing campaigns, again, it goes down to identifying who your customer is. But don't just go for your mass market, bog standard marketing strategy. And whilst you will create a few sales from that by casting your net far and wide, you will be far more successful if you're able to deliver a marketing message to your target customer, to the few, if you like, because actually the conversion rate will be much higher. And then if they've had a really good experience, they felt love, they felt safe and secure when purchasing it, you're meeting their basic needs in terms of how you are delivering their products and meeting their needs and wants, they'll then feel really sort of good about your product, and they will be the ones whose self-esteem needs will be met. So they'll be feeling really proud, they'll love the product, it will be delivered, you've delivered on everything that you've said you were going to, both silently and through your marketing communication. And actually this is where they're then going to start transferring to their friends and family about how fantastic your marketing message was to them and how it can also meet their needs. And that's how your business will grow very organically but very sustainably. So don't just consider Maslow to be an individual's needs, consider it about being how you, the business, is going to meet your consumer needs. So have a look at each of those different points on the hierarchy, and just I would recommend that you draw the hierarchy and then you just scribble beside it some very key points on how you feel that you are going to make each and every single customer of yours feel that they have had those individual needs met. Because ultimately in marketing, it's about value, it's about satisfaction, and it is about quality. So it's about how your customer assesses your products overall. It's about the buying behavior of your consumer and how they feel the transaction has been handled. It's exceptionally important that from the very first point your customer comes into contact with you as a business, that they feel that their individual needs have been met. And this is where we go on to something called your total quality management. So it's not just about where you manage a small section of your business, it's managing it right from the point where your customer first comes into their contact with your brand and the message that it portrays the entire way through the transaction. Because if at any point, if you consider it as a chain, one of those points in the chain break, you are not going to convert them to be a customer. So it's about making sure that satisfaction is closely linked to quality. So when you do your marketing strategy, don't just consider your marketing message and your communication. I want you to be able to draw out a chain of events. So what does your product or service look like right from the very beginning? So what's the first interaction your consumer will have with your brand? How do they receive that message? So what is the marketing stream you're going to use? What is their immediate knee-jerk response going to be having seen that marketing message? And then how are you going to meet their needs going forward? So you're going to have a look at it as a chain of events. So for some, you may find that actually drawing out a flow chart will help you pinpoint exactly the type of message it is that you're trying to get across. Because remember, marketing isn't about mass market appeal, as the name suggests. It's about how you communicate with your customer from the very beginning to the end point. And this is what we mean about relationship marketing. Now, if you're able to get your relationship marketing absolutely spot on, this is where your brand is going to be able to add value. So it's where you're going to be able to increase your markup margins. Your profitability margins are going to increase because people will trust you as a business. And it's where actually, as opposed to just entering a saturated market, you can become the market leader, which is exactly what Steve Jobs did when he launched Apple. So here's a quote. So it's the process of creating, maintaining and enhancing strong value laden relationships with customers and other stakeholders. It's not just about putting out white noise and blurb so that actually everybody can see you are as a product and try and recognize you as a brand. It is about creating strong, valuable relationships with your customers. Now, in order to do that, you're going to need to think of a couple of things, and they are known as the marketing mix. Now, I'm going to start with the 4 Ps in the marketing mix, although there is an extended marketing mix, which I will go on to in a second tutorial. So in order to identify your marketing strategy and how you are actually going to communicate with your customers, you're going to have to plan a mix of controllable elements that are all linked to your product or service. Now, commonly, these are termed as the 4 Ps, and they are known as product, price, place, and promotion. And in order to make sure that you get the marketing message just right, which is absolutely imperative, these 4 elements are adjusted until the right combination is found that will basically meet your product or your service's needs and give you the absolute optimum amount of income and profitability. So usually, or sometimes, the first P, product, is substituted by presentation. Now, if we just have a look at these things, you will be able to identify and sort of implement a strategy which will mean that you will be able to get the right balance from each of your 4Ps. So it's about setting a controllable tactical marketing tool in relation to those 4 items that will allow you to respond to the market, your target market, in the way that it needs in order for you to reach profitability. Now, in terms of your influence for the demand of your product or service, there's going to be a couple of things that you're going to need to consider. And again, it's about knowing who your customer is. And I know I keep going on about that, but it really is about understanding their pain points. So why they don't buy from anywhere else, why they're going to move to you, what makes them feel that you understand them better. And you'll be able to do that by linking back to Maslow. But there's a couple of things you are going to also need to consider. So these are things that your motivation of your customers. Okay, so what motivates them to come onto your website and buy your product? Why are you different? Then you're going to have to identify your competition analysis. You're probably going to be entering a saturated marketplace. What is everybody else doing in terms of marketing? Because actually, if your marketing strategy is to copy them, then you're probably wasting your time. You need to look at it from a different angle, from a fresh perspective, in order to get your customers to shift suppliers to you. Then you're going to have a look at government control. So what red tape is the government currently throwing up? And then you're going to have a look at the trends, the patterns of behaviour. Because if you're about to launch a product which you anticipate to be trendy in 6 months' time, the chances are that actually that will not generate sales for you at this point, but hopefully if you've got your prediction right, will generate you additional sales in 6 months' time. So it's about identifying those different patterns. Now, if I break down the marketing mix into the 4Ps a little bit more, so if you've got your product or service, this is basically going to identify what it is that you're offering your customers. And you need to be really succinct with that. So that's going to link into your branding, your logos, and how it is your story is going to be told. Then you're going to have a look at your pricing points. So is it affordable to consumers, but still profitable for your business? So again, you're going to need to research your market. And then you're going to have a look at your place. So making your product available to market, you could use different distribution channels. Are you going to use middlemen? Are you using our retail or wholesale model? Are you going to be distributing it via yourself from your kitchen table? And how is your customer going to be able to get hold of that product really easily? And then how are you going to promote it? And then that's going to link into your branding, your advertising, your social media strategy, which is all going to be linked into how you've identified you're going to meet Maslow's hierarchy of needs for your consumers, and how you're going to make them feel safe and secure when they move from their existing trusted product or brand to you. So you're going to have to consider all of those 4 things. Now, I'm going to skip the slide on the extended because I just want to move on to the 4 Cs. So from a consumer viewpoint, you're then going to need to link your 4 Ps into the 4 Cs. So as I've said early on in the tutorial, it's about understanding your customer needs and wants and meeting their demand and anticipating the demand for your product. But they're also going to want to know what the cost is. Okay, so you're going to have to identify your target marketing and identify your cost to the customer. They're going to need to know the convenience, because these are the 4 basic things they're thinking. How do I know? How does my business or the business know what my consumer wants? How much is it going to cost my customer? How easily can I get it? And actually, is their communication aimed at me, or are they just throwing things out for everybody? So there's a really good quote at the bottom by Kotler, 1999, and I strongly recommend that you have a good Google of Kotler. He has many words of wisdom which will help you along the way. But it basically said, winning companies meet customer needs economically and conveniently with effective communication. So I just want you to take that quote from this tutorial, consider how you can win your customer needs, both for the benefit of the customer, but also for you and your profitability and efficiency wise. But also it has to be convenient. It can't be hard work for your consumer to buy from you, because they will just go elsewhere. And remember that the communication that you are making towards your customer has to be targeted to them individually. And you'll be able to do that by linking in and understanding why it is they're going to buy from you as opposed to your competitor. So we'll move on to the 7 Ps in the next tutorial, but I hope to see you there. Thank you for watching. Bye!